Extra, the first alert weather day continuing as we continue to see the stretch of feels-like temperatures in the triple digits. We're on your side when we could see some possible relief and that next best chance for rain.
And we take you around the country to other places dealing with this extreme heat wave, and we bring you the weather extra on the science behind the high pressure ridge that's causing these extreme conditions.
Live on your side, First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
All right, well, we are talking about some hot temperatures today going into tomorrow. 105 degrees.
Yeah, you knew, Matt, it was just a matter of time. You know, I was looking at some of the summertime temperatures from last year. You know, we were cruising along. We had all the rain. We had the lower temperatures. But last summer, by the end of June, we jumped into the triple digits for actual high temperatures.
Yeah, and I was looking at the record high for today here in Birmingham, and I think we tied the record last year.
Yeah.
So it's been hot before.
It's been hot.
Yeah, and it's just more heat.
Well, it's all relative, and it's the humidity. That's the big story for us, and we were talking about Death Valley, California. I just checked earlier today. It was like 98, but the humidity, of course, was 20%. It's so dry out there, but it felt like 98 degrees. Around here, it felt like 105 at the same time. But, you know, that's the thing. It's the humidity. It's going to be a big story again tomorrow, so we do have another First Alert weather day, but also, and Matt, you put together a map. I'm going to show this. And we have some new model data coming up on this increase in storms that we're talking about towards the end of the week. So we're going to give you the weather extra on that. So let's go right to it here. I want to show you first off, First Alert weather day. We've got triple digit heat, of course, through Wednesday. But listen, it's going to be hot for the rest of the week. I mean, we're setting into this heat wave, and that's why we have these First Alert weather days. We have heat advisories through tomorrow night, but the storm chances going up, that's going to help us out over the next several days. And some of those storms, any given day, could be strong to severe, and with any storm that develops, we could see some lightning. Now, right now, it's heat index of 104 in Tuscaloosa in Utah. Jasper showing 111, 102 at Aniana and Pell City, 100 in Anniston. But these numbers, we've seen a lot of 100-plus temperatures out there today. But again, that is the feels-like temperature, and that's going to continue to stay in the triple-digit range through the end of the week. So it's going to be very hot and steamy at times. But notice those storms, just know they're going to pop up, knock down those temperatures during the day, and bring some much-needed relief as we move into the end of the week. But some of those storms are going to be quite intense. So let's go over to radar. We're not seeing a lot of wet weather at the moment, but there was one isolated cell that I was tracking. It popped up, actually looks like south of Talladega. There's a little pop-up storm, and there's one that has is producing some lightning. I was seeing a couple strikes with this, a couple lightning strikes out here not far from Munford, and this is south of Coldwater, and this is tracking to the west direction. So these little pop-ups are moving east to west around the base of high pressure centered to our north, and that easterly flow is going to stick around through the end of the week. So a lot of these little pop-up storms, again, I talked about more tomorrow through the end of the week. You check the radar, just know they're going to be moving. It's what we often say, backwards weather, right? Moving east to west across the state. So let's take you to Wednesday tomorrow. We know the heat is on once again, and the overnight temperatures tonight, lows in the mid to upper 70s. We're still going to be in the 80s at 11 o'clock at night. I mean, it's going to be a very steamy overnight across the state in general. But tomorrow, there's 11:30 in the morning, and look at the temperature. They're showing 95 at Birmingham, 96 at Tuscaloosa, this one model. But notice there's 4 o'clock. We start to see some little pop-up storms again bubbling up. But I'm watching back to the east. It looks like we could see more storms develop. And as those storms develop and we get a little pocket of rain-cooled air, it's kind of like a mini front. That's going to start sliding to the west, and it's kind of like a cascade effect. It's going to set off more of those pop-up storms. You see that moving east to west through tomorrow evening. So we will see a better chance of those coming in starting tomorrow, but those rain chances just keep on rising as we look into Thursday and also into Friday. But you can see tomorrow that greatest rain chance, especially 6 o'clock to midnight. That's that map that Matt put together across East Alabama. And just be watching later in the day. Eventually this heat will break, and we'll start to see more of these afternoon storms. See that a lot during the summer. The heat, the humidity, it just builds and builds and and builds. Our weather watchers today, you can see some of the reports here. They were checking in. I noticed Debbie Alexander at 96 degrees at Graysville, West Blockton 95 from Tony Siegel, 92 in Coker from Ronald Hughes. Look at Bobby Rowe's report, Pell City 98 degrees, 94 in Alabaster from John King, and our weather watcher in Talladega, Joseph Williamson there showing 90 degrees. But we've had some of these little pop-up storms and showers. Certainly that's going to help out with the temperatures, but that heat advisory continues until 7 o'clock tomorrow, and we're on your side with a WBRC safety check reminding you to take this heat very seriously, as it can cause some big-time health problems. And your West Alabama reporter Brian Henry joins us now live with ways to protect yourself. Brian?
Hey, well, at 1 p.m. today, my temperature gauge in my news vehicle registered a blistering 97 degrees, but it felt a lot warmer when you throw in the heat index. It was hot in West Alabama Tuesday, the kind of heat you begin to see sizzle off pavements with the sun bearing down at midday. 97 degrees at 12:37.
It's a lot more humid here than what we have back home.
Back home, Virginia Mulkey is East Texas, no stranger to hot weather, and one Mulkey got used to growing up in the Lone Star State. But even Mulkey, who was all of 26,
And just know your body, know what you're able to handle.
conceded it's hot enough here for her to curtail her daily walk with her puppy dog.
I had to cut down that a lot, obviously, because there's just been so many videos of the dangers of not being able to bring dogs back,
Smart move on Jenna Mulkey's part to protect her pet and herself.
Hands clean, they were going to grab some IV stuff to draw blood.
Trauma nurse Will Hassel says heat-related illnesses make up about 15% of the patients who come through the ER, whether it's DCH in Tuscaloosa, Northport, or Fayette.
Depending on how long they've been out in the heat, sometimes they can be drenched in sweat.
Other symptoms may include cramps, excessive sweating, chills, and confusion. To avoid all this, drink lots of water. And if you have to be outside,
They either try to get out early in the morning or very late in the afternoon to do anything that needs to be done.
luckily for Jenna Mulkey, her job is inside, serving up cool drinks at Heritage House.
Able to cool down in here.
Whether it's East Texas or West Alabama, the heat is no respecter of anyone. Take it from a Texas native
All right, I got an ice mocha.
and an ER nurse.
Just to get the fluids in.
Not worth the sweat to risk a life. And something else to consider tonight, and it comes down to 3 words: hydrate, hydrate, and hydrate. Your reporter in Tuscaloosa, Brian Henry, WBRC 6 News, on your side.
Listen, we say it all the time. It's the #1 when it comes to weather-related killers. It's the heat, more than tornadoes, hurricanes, and we got to take the heat very seriously. Matt joins us now again. And Matt, I had someone on Twitter reached out and just sent an update and knew someone working outdoors, had a heat stroke in the tri-state region, working outdoors. It just sneaks up on you, and you got to take it seriously.
Yeah, I was in the marching band way back in the day, and I remember being out in that heat, and I will admit, I didn't drink enough water the day beforehand.
Right.
And that entire weekend I was just suffering because I was so dehydrated from the sunshine and all that heat. So you got to take it easy. And a lot of people are talking, why is this heat happening right now? Obviously it's summer, it happens all the time, but why particularly this particular event? So let's talk about that. It's all about this area of high pressure. You may have heard the phrases like a heat dome. It's just simplifying the science of this. So you got sinking air in this area of high pressure, and where it sinks, you don't get enough lift to create storms. So it dries out, and you can get a lot of heat developing, and that's what's been happening across the eastern half of the country. Now, this ridge of high pressure is forecast to weaken over the next day or two, and that's going to help eliminate the extreme heat and also increase the storm chances. So you've also may have heard of the term the ring of fire, and what happens with the ring of fire is you get storms forming around that ridge of high pressure. So in this example, you see all these reds and purples. That's where they're seeing some record-breaking heat across the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Yes, it's hot here, but it's even hotter as you go across the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. And you have to remember, they may not be as acclimated with the heat as we are. I mean, we're used to air conditioning. Some places may not have that. But with this ridge of high pressure, flow around it moves clockwise. We got this low that Wes was mentioning off the coast of Florida that will be forming, and we're going to get easterly flow over the next several days. And you can see it taking all that that color off the map, you see the rain moving around that ridge of high pressure. So you got those storms moving around it. And this kind of shows you what the Storm Prediction Center is highlighting for tomorrow. Storm threat to the north and around that ridge of high pressure. In fact, you notice there is a risk for strong storms tomorrow. We got a lot of heat, and that heat provides a lot of instability, and of course that can create some strong and severe storms. So we'll have to watch, as Wes was showing with that future radar, as those storms move from east to west, they could pack a punch with some gusty winds and lightning. So make sure you monitor that First Alert weather app. And hey, you got to check this out. Record-breaking temperatures across parts of the Northeast today, with some of those records being broken from the late 1800s. Philadelphia is seeing temperatures of 100 degrees, all the way to Baltimore seeing temperatures of 104 degrees. That feels like 110. That's hotter than here. These extreme temperatures also leading to travel issues as Amtrak implemented train speed restrictions. Well, in 30 seconds, we're going to continue to talk about the continued risk for dangerous heat for your Wednesday. We're going to talk about how city leaders are planning continued construction in the midst of these high temperatures. We'll be right back.
All right, live look from the Gulf Coast right now. Folks there enjoying plenty of sunshine, and maybe you're thinking, listen, I have a beach trip planned for this weekend. What's the deal with the weather? There will be some scattered pop-up thunderstorms. It looks like a very seasonal forecast down along the coast. There are some storms. Actually, it looks like there's Panama City, not far from, looks like out here towards Santa Rosa, between there and Laguna Beach, big-time storm. Some inland development there happening over towards Bay Minette in the South Alabama. We did have a tropical storm that formed today, and this is a big story. It's the first tropical storm of the season, and this is Andrea. It's way out over the central Atlantic, so this will not enter the Gulf. This will not even impact the East Coast. It's going to stay way out there, and actually is expected to diminish tonight, so it won't last long. But if you receive an alert, just know that there's no system that's expected to threaten the U.S. for this weekend. If you're heading down, though, rain chances will go up. There will be an increasing chance for scattered storms, so some of that weather, you certainly don't want to miss the getting out there by late morning, early afternoon, enjoying some beach time for this weekend. But you have to send us a nice sunset photo from the coast right on the First Alert weather app. Well, another big story we've been talking about with the heat is also the road temperatures. That is a big story this time of the year, and currently you look at road temperatures with this kind of heat, they can surge into the 120 to 140 degree range, so that certainly can be quite harmful to our furry friends. So walking the pups out there in the afternoons and evenings, just keep that in mind this time of the year as we talk about hot car safety. Also talk about hot paw safety and making sure also our furry friends stay well hydrated this time of the year. And Matt, we're going to be talking more about these temperatures. Looks like the heat levels may back off some, but more on the rain chances coming up.
That's right, Wes. And you know, not only do we need to watch for our pets and those hot temperatures, many people across the central United States also needing to watch for their vehicles. Now, we first brought you the story yesterday of roads buckling in parts of Wisconsin and Missouri. A similar situation happening across South Dakota, Colorado, and Nebraska. Police in Nebraska saying one officer helped direct traffic in 100-degree heat to prevent drivers from damaging their vehicles. Extreme heat risks are in place through at least Thursday from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic. And back here at home, the heat and rain causing troubles on our roadways. We're on your side asking how the weather is impacting key construction projects. Your reporter Jillian Brooks has the latest on those answers.
In Cahaba Heights, this intersection off of Pump House Road will soon go from a three-way stop to a roundabout. But getting the project completed means working in the heat.
But it definitely affects our crews, it affects productivity, it just affects break time.
Chris Nicholson with Jefferson County says on an excessively hot day, you might see crews out earlier in the day. The heat impacts every crew, but Nicholson says the worst is for employees who are out paving.
When you're paving, the asphalt's already 300 plus degrees. So you do that on top of 100 degrees heat index plus, it's just tough on our crews.
When paving, the sweet spot is above 60 degrees, so that's not easy to do in the winter months.
You don't want the material to freeze up in the trucks or to get stiff. You want it to stay kind of fluid almost as you pave. So it's a weird catch where you want to pave when it's hot, but it's also hot when you're paving.
Ideally, Nicholson says they work during the dry season, but right now we are in more of a rainy pattern.
Rain's really killed our progress on some of these projects.
Here's the other issue. There are rules about how the projects affect the environment, meaning cleanup has taken priority on some days.
We're spending a lot of time cleaning up and fixing our erosion control, like our silt fence and our ponds. So it's kind of slowed down the actual construction part of the project.
All right, check this out. A different scene across Florida as a double water spouts were spotted near Tampa Bay on Sunday. Incredible there. The video was captured by Mayor Gene Brown. Storms earlier in the day across the area was the likely cause of these twisters. Wow.
Hey, don't go anywhere. We talk about those upcoming rain chances and take you beyond the atmosphere to a new invention created by students to see the wonders of space. We'll see you after the break. And welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. We are tracking a couple of little tiny pop-up cells. You see where this is located. This is over Talladega County. A little storm. We had some lightning with this, but looks like that has since weakened just a bit. It's moving over towards Curry and Talladega County. City of Talladega is down here at the bottom of the screen, so it looks like this is going to be crossing around Highway 21, Highway 77 there to the north of town for the most part. But a lot of times when you see even a little small isolated cell like this, it can help to kick off another shower or storm. So we'll watch to see if that happens. It looks like there is a little development happening right over Winterboro. So our friends here around Winterboro, this is moving towards Alpine and Camolga, moving east to west. We're still dealing with, as Megan says, backwards weather as we see across the state of Alabama, some of these showers that are tracking east to west across the state. But we've got this flow that is east to west because of high pressure centered to the north of us, and that's what's going to keep those showers and storms moving in across the area. So let's talk about the rest of tonight. These little pop-ups will diminish, but it wouldn't surprise me even 7, 8 o'clock because it's just so hot out there, even if we still had just one lone storm that tried to go up somewhere across the area. So again, just know that there's a small 10-20% chance for maybe an isolated pop-up. Most of us, though, will stay dry but hot this evening. The temperatures, even by 11 o'clock tonight, will still be in the 80s out there. So the AC, it's not going to catch much of a break overnight. The low temperatures down into the mid to upper 70s tonight. But tomorrow during the day, what's going to happen here? I showed you earlier in the newscast the RPM model. In fact, Matt, I want to try to bring that up one more time and we'll walk through that. I think that model has the best handle on the situation. This is some brand new data for tomorrow, and we'll go through that here, and you'll see that as we look at tomorrow morning, we start to see some pop-up storms, but notice how later in the day storms develop, and as they move east to west across the area, they'll set off some more scattered storms. So watch out later in the day tomorrow into the evening. A much better chance for those scattered thunderstorms in the forecast, and it looks like we do have a disturbance that's going to approach from the southeast that we were telling you about later on this week, and that is going to be bringing those showers and storm chances up as we move into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can see those higher rain chances going into the weekend, and next week afternoon storms also likely. So plan for that possibility. It's still hot and steamy at times. I just want to stress, even though we don't have first alert weather days for Thursday into the weekend, summer's here. We kind of set into some of this hot, steamy weather, but at least we don't have the extremes that are possible into tomorrow. The heat index again could top 105. But Matt is standing by to take us again more into that long range forecast. Matt, it looks like this trend may continue through the 4th.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that. And just looking beyond that 7-day with your 10-day forecast, Wes, those temperatures, they don't look super hot. Pretty typical for this time of year, low 90s. Looking out towards July 2nd through July 8th, notice the southeast showing those orange colors indicating odds of seeing temperatures slightly above average. So I don't see any extreme heat by any means, but it's probably going to stay hot and muggy with those temperatures somewhere in the lower 90s for the most part. When it comes to rain chances, we got an opportunity to see slightly above average rainfall across the southeast. And just looking ahead, the next big thing we're going to be tracking beyond the 7-day, these models continue to show rain chances. This is next Wednesday, a chance for some showers and storms. Same idea as we go into Thursday. Then as we go into the 4th of July, heat activated showers and storms possible. Hopefully by the time we have those fireworks late that evening, most of the rain and storms will be out of here and you don't have to worry about Mother Nature's fireworks. And notice even as we go even into the following weekend, we're talking about the 5th and 6th of July, still looking at those chances for rain and storms. In the tropics, looking pretty quiet too for the start of July. Maybe activity still remains in parts of the eastern Pacific Ocean. We'll have more weather extra coming up right after this quick break. Stay with us. right, check out some photos. This a beautiful sunset in Oxford from Justin. Amazing right there.
Yeah, we've got a rainbow. It's low on the horizon. Don't know if I've seen a capture, a very interesting view there, but lovely view from Blair Mountain Farms. Leanne Blair, that's a nice rainbow in Clay County.
Yeah, and Scott Smith sent that picture in, a sunset over McCalla.
Lots of sunny McCalla, hot in McCalla today. Kaylee Doucette sharing this lovely sunrise over Lake Mitchell. That's down along the Coosa and Chilton County line.
And there's the storm west of Moody right there from JA. And Mike Berglund sent this picture of sunset in Gallant.
Man, what a glow.
Wow.
And Brian sharing this view from our Sky Vision camera. One of the team members there in the Nectar area sharing that screen grab of the sunset. And we've seen some lovely views. And I noticed, I mentioned yesterday, Matt, there was a severe storm a couple days ago that was in Coleman County. And I was at the summit, and you could see the tower and the way the sun was kind of glowing off of the towering cumulus cloud. It just had, there was lightning, you had the glow. It was really an incredible view.
This is my favorite season to just look at the sky. You can see those
Right.
clouds building in the evening, get amazing photos. So yeah, feel free to submit them, and we'll try our best to show them right here on Weather Extra.
Yeah, we love showing the Weather Extra right here. So if you have any videos and pictures you want to share, it's just one click on the First Alert Weather app, which of course you've been getting those alerts from us today, talking about the heat coming up. So just be ready. Another First Alert Weather Day tomorrow. More storms in the forecast tonight, first at 9.
Have a great night.